So it's that special time of year. I call it Apple Christmas, when the next generation iPhone comes out. This year, we're on the 16th cycle of iPhone. Actually, it's not the 16th cycle, is it? Because we skipped one somewhere. Did we skip 9? Did we skip 9? We skipped 9, right? So maybe it's the 15th cycle.
And they made a 13, right?
And they made, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they didn't skip 13, but they skipped 9. So I think we're on the 15th cycle, maybe. Actually, maybe there was, maybe we're on the 16th. I don't know, because maybe we had a 3 and a 3G. I don't know. I don't recall. But anyway, it's the iPhone 16. It's that time of year. New iPhone's coming out. This time, it's the iPhone 16. Was announced just yesterday or a couple of days ago, if you're watching this on the first day this podcast comes out. So we have the 16 and the 16 Pro. For the first time, close like feature parity between the 16 and the 16 Pro. Like really close this time. Kind of crazy. And I think it's all because of this. All because of Apple Intelligence. So for the first time ever, they have a similar chip. The 16 has an A18. The Pro has an A18 Pro. So slightly different cores in them, I guess, but very, very similar. If you remember in the past, every iPhone, what they've done is they've taken the Pro chip of last year and put it in this year's latest one. But they skipped the A17. That's not going to be in an iPhone 16. That's what they would have done in previous years. And it's all because it needs this, I don't know, whatever the NPU chip is for the running the neural processing stuff for the AI. So that's kind of interesting. Same way like camera-wise too. So cameras is a big upgrade this year. In a couple of different ways. New camera lenses, a 48 megapixel, what they're calling a fusion camera, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide on the iPhone 16. They added a 5, and then you get at that plus a 5 times telephoto on the Pro. And on the Pro, you also get a 48 megapixel ultra wide. So the ultra wide's a better camera as well. So kind of, they're pretty close this time. But one of the biggest things they talked about, and the biggest thing everybody's talking about, is they added a button to it. Adding a button to the phone after this amount of time just feels like such a weird thing. So they've added this camera control button, and it is a button, despite the fact that Apple, for some reason, does not want to call it a button. I have no idea why. It's a button. It physically presses. You press it. It also has capacitive controls on it too, so you can slide it. So you can control things like the aperture or the exposure or the zoom level. Like there's a bunch of different functions you can do with it. It's kind of cool. Looks neat. It looks pretty cool. But the fact that they've, for the longest time, Apple have taken buttons and interfaces off devices. Now the big news is they're adding them back. It just seems like such a weird thing to be putting back in, but here we are. All devices better battery life, and of course, all devices are going to have Apple Intelligence. So from the 16 Max, 16 Pro, and 16 Pro Max all have Apple Intelligence, but probably not at launch. When iOS 18 is put out at launch, they're not going to have Apple Intelligence features baked in. We're not going to see them until 18.1. So apparently in about a month's time. So Apple's having a hard time, I think, getting this stuff right. So I don't know where that's going to go. But yeah, so what you guys think about the iPhones? Interested in getting a new one? I know you're not an iPhone guy, Bobby, but Paul, you getting a new one?
Not at the moment. I'm still rocking iPhone 13. It's been lasting a good. I keep replacing it. Every time I'm like, oh, just give me a new one. The same one. Yeah, the same one. That's what I want. Less features, less distractions. No, I mean, I'm excited for the AI implementation. So this, just because I'm that guy that I just want to have the cool thing and kind of curious. So I would get it just because of that feature, of the AI. I don't really care too much about the camera. That'll be kind of interesting.
So you could, if you don't care about the camera too, then Paul, you could get just the regular 16. You don't have to go with the Pro, because the feature parity between the two now, the only real difference, apart from battery life being a thing, is the camera array. So the camera array has this ultra wide on the Pro, doesn't have it on this one, but the other two cameras are almost identical. So it's if you just want it for the AI stuff, all the AI stuff you can get on both of them. There's no difference between the two. So
the feature that I'm most interested in the phones, and this will be weird, is satellite messaging. So I think that's the feature that I'm really interested in. We'll talk about this a little bit in a segment. I've been riding bikes, and some of my travels takes me to mountainous areas, and I notice I don't have cell phone coverage. And if you reckon the mountains where I'm at, in some places, they won't find you. You'll be discovered 100 years later. Man dies in creek. We don't know what happened. And so but the satellite messaging is really cool. And I do know that they're using Globestar. I know Starlink is going to release T-Mobile next year, and then Verizon and AT&T are going to do something else. And but I'm interested in that. I mean, I think it's kind of cool. I would pay for it. It's not on my Samsung yet, so like, I know that's been out since iPhone 15, but I think there's something different about 18 that's better.
Well, I think it was different last year, so it was different on it was different on iOS 15, or not iOS 15, on iPhone 15 than it was on 14. I have a 14 and it has it, but it has like on 15, I believe they added non-emergency satellite messages.
Yeah, emojis.
So you can use it. On mine, you can use it and you can use satellite messaging, but only in an emergency.
Okay.
Now you can actually just message on it.
Right.
So it just works for just.
So I thought the new thing was like it can ping you can send a ping, which is kind of cool. I've read some articles where people got lost or whatever, and some guy was hiking in the mountains just like last year and he had an iPhone and they pinged it. And that's how they
you can do that
him.
on mine.
Yeah. And that was like he could, drop his location, and that's how rescues found him.
Exactly.
Yep. So would I rather have satellite messaging or the ability to remove backgrounds? Satellite messaging all day long.
What just hearing this conversation, the most wild part to me is it's like back in the day, people used pigeons to communicate. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna throw this pigeon out there. It's gonna go over there.
They should have called this like pigeon feature, shouldn't they? Really?
Like
embraced the past.
It's hard to like pack 3 or 4 pigeons on your mountain bike.
Bobby's throwing pigeons around. It's
that's awesome. That's awesome. So here's what happened next then. Not to be outdone, Huawei said, and they had kind of a hold my beer moment, and they went like literally a couple of hours after the iPhone announcement and released this device. They released something called the Huawei Mate XL. Now, XL really fits on this thing because this is the first ever trifold phone.
Christ.
This is basically folds into 3. So you can see in the image here, this is when it's folded up. It folds out to a 10.2 inch tablet. So basically a tablet sized device. This thing also, here's the real news on this. No, not that it's like a technological like feat, because it is. It's cool and everything about it is cool, like seemingly great. Here's the biggest news. It costs between $2,800 and $3,400
only in
China.
Yeah,
insane. Here's the thing I was going to show. Like, I never shared the true reason why I broke up with my fiance, but basically we would have arguments. I would have my iPhone and I'd be like, this is the latest, greatest. And she'll show up with her Huawei phone, always better, always nicer. I just couldn't take it anymore. And I had to end it because I was like, get the hell out of here. Right. Exactly.
Well, Paul, you see somebody out in public with this, you're gonna be upset.
I want one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Look at that. It's like a newspaper, kind of, maybe. Like,
it's definitely got the Harry Potter feel to it. So like, but I like the gold flaking and stuff like that. It makes you feel like,
Well, I do think the colors are interesting, right? Because this is like they do it in 2 colors. They have this black and gold, and they have this red and gold. And if you know a lot about like Chinese culture, red is like a very like it's a very like fortunate like color.
Right.
Casinos in China are just red. They're supposed to bring good luck.
If you're spending that amount of money, it better be fortunate. Are you kidding me? How are you going to walk around with that? It's like,
I know this should be real gold. I mean, we're talking about
real gold.
I mean, we're talking about the most expensive iPhone that came out yesterday. Double it, and that's what you're paying for.
That is insane. Like, who's going to buy that phone? And it's like,
well, let me ask you a question. How long will it be before someone has this phone in the U.S. and somehow they've bought it? And I guess it's unlocked. I guess could you register it with Verizon or something like that? Or
I assume you could. I don't know.
Put a SIM card in it,
Well, I don't know because I'm assuming it's eSIM. I'm guessing. I don't know. I mean, SIM cards have like gone the way of like the dinosaur
eSIM.
These days. But I'm guessing it's eSIM. I'm guessing it's compatible. I don't know. I don't think anybody's got one here yet, but it's Chinese only. So whether you can bring, I don't know. But if you see one in public, like snap a picture because they're going to be rare. Not just because you can't get them, but because who's going to spend $3,000 on one?
It's got to be some influencer's going to have one soon on TikTok, right? I just got my Huawei phone in, like, look at me.
I mean, but honestly, like, how do you consume TikTok on that? Because this is the format. So, what do you have, like blank screen on both sides, and then you got this tiny video in the middle?
I wonder, you're right. I wonder how it does handle, like, I'm guessing, well, this in the image here looks like it renders desktop versions of apps.
Exactly. So TikTok doesn't even work on desktop. So, like, they're kind of like, shooting themselves in the foot. But to be honest, like, I am intrigued by this idea of foldable phones, and I'm kind of upset that Apple has not, or probably won't, make their own version of a foldable phone.
There are patents. Me and Kevin talked about it a little bit earlier. They do have a patent out, and they just said that they're working on it, but that doesn't mean it's anywhere close to being released.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, they have patents. Yes, have they made a foldable device? I guarantee they have internally. Yeah. I guarantee it. But here's the problem, and the problem that everybody else has had with foldable devices, including Samsung, that they're not up to they break. They're not up to the rigors of the folding screens yet, being to a point where you can unfold it and unfold it even like 20 times a day. Because give it a few weeks and you're seeing people that have creases down the phones. They don't look good. They need to be able to fold thousands of times.
I will say they got this design aesthetic, this website. This website screams high end. Like, I love the saturated pictures and all the stuff. It's like dripping with money. Like, look at the,
it's literally,
I mean, it has to.
Look at this lady.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at this dude.
He's eating caviar for breakfast. That's what he's doing.
This dude's never eaten anything else but caviar.
So this is definitely like one of those like vanity phones for sure. It's here I am.
Yeah, the pelted leather on the side. Look at that, man.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to play with this. I would. I wouldn't spend the money on it because, again, I don't think it's going to last, and I don't think give it a year, that screen's going to still look good. I really don't. I genuinely just don't believe that's a problem they've technologically
solved. But when you
yet.
have that much money, you don't care. You're going to buy. So here's like the
this
thing I was going to say. So I have friends, they have like nice cars, and every time they park it all stupid in a parking lot, like they take like 10 spaces. I'm like, what are you doing? And I go, there's 2 reasons you park this way. You're a douche, which you probably are, because rich people don't care about that. You know what I mean? They're like, listen, it is my car. I don't care. I'm going to park wherever I want. Tiny space. I don't care, because I could afford to fix it. And people that park their cars all stupid is because you're not rich enough for the car. And it's the same thing with the phone. You're not rich enough for the phone if you're worried that the screen's going to break.
True.
Because you're just going to replace it.
This is true. Like, I'll just buy another one. No,
exactly. Just buy another one.
You're right, Paul. That is exactly it. Yeah.
That's why I would never own that phone, because that would be like the biggest sign of irresponsibility. It's like, I didn't pay my rent. But look at my phone. Look at this amazing phone.
So is it Android or what is it?
Yeah, it's going to be Android.
Gotta be Android.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Android.
It's not their own Chinese OS?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's Android.
I am curious that this is the first time I've seen it. And maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe I'm America-centric, so forgive me if you're listening from China. But the first time where like something that came out of here in the iPhone space that doesn't feel like a blatant ripoff. They actually went and invented something. Maybe they copied Samsung's joint, but they put another one on, which made it harder. It's definitely unique. So I'll give them props for that.
Yeah, I don't see this form factor taking off. Do you? I don't see like Samsung coming out with a trifold one or another company coming out with one. I think this will be unique for a while. I think because. Do we need it? Do we need?
I guarantee you, like,
I don't know. It's cool, but do we need it?
They're gonna make it like a quad form, and then eventually it's gonna be a roll up. You just roll it up.
You know where this is going, don't you? This is going the way of razor blades. Remember razor blades? The longest time it was like they had 2 blades, 3 blades, 5 blades, 8 blades.
Exactly.
This is going to be the thing with this. It's going to be like before we know it, we've got a 10-screen phone. It's like wrapped around your head.
Yeah, exactly. The next thing you know, like you're walking down the street with a TV set on your shoulders. Like, it's just my phone.
Got a stack. We'll call it the stack.
The stack. Yeah. It's a phone. It's a chair because I could fold it and sit on it.
It's true.
It's got $100 bills on the outside. We stack them up, baby.
That should literally, but that's a flex, though. Let me tell you, you show up with that phone wherever you are. Like,
oh yeah,
dude. If you don't have like a car to go with it and like everything else, it's just gonna look bad. It's gonna look bad. It's like I honestly would feel too intimidated to have a phone like this.